Shalom, shalom. Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Starting off, giving all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash, and double honors to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David, starting with the 144,000 and the rest of the men, women, and children out of the 12 tribes, whom Yahweh Bashem El Shai will ultimately have mercy upon. I'm your brother Esaww'S, residing from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Melbourne, Australia. And a lot has been going on here in this country that I currently reside in. And this is breaking news, all right, which there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes, and Esau has a lot of distractions going on over in the world. And one of those distractions is dealing with the anti-S word being here within this country. And if you remember, myself and the brother Yashar from GMS down under Australia have been reporting on these acts since last year. And there's been a lot of so-called anti-S attacks that's been going on in Sydney, Australia, and here in Melbourne, Australia. And what I wanted to do was play this video because just recently, in the last 24 to 48 hours almost, the deputies in Sydney have come to the conclusion that the majority of anti-S attacks have been fabricated and orchestrated. All right. And so what does that mean? That means that what they were trying to establish here of trying to protect Amalek and the things that's going on with the whole Hamas and Israel war, all right, is finally caught up to them, and the propaganda that they have been spreading has been found out, all right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video of the police staff here as she gives a statement based upon what they have found with these anti-S attacks that has been going on. So without further ado, all right, this is fair use. This is fair use.
Today, I can reveal that the caravan was never going to cause a mass casualty event, but instead was concocted by criminals who wanted to cause fear for personal benefit. However, during our investigations, we continued to receive tip-offs about other terror plots related to this matter. Out of an abundance of caution, it was agreed by all agencies that the operation would remain in the Joint Counter-Terrorism team. While we are confident these tip-offs were fake, we could not risk ignoring the information provided, and we kept investigating at the highest level. We are now confident that these tip-offs were fabricated and the caravan plot was an elaborate scheme contrived by organised criminals domestically and from offshore. There were several people who had different levels of involvement in this fake terrorism plot, but put simply, the plan was the following: organise for someone to buy a caravan, place it with explosives and written material of anti-Semitic nature, leave it in a specific location, and then, once that happened, inform law enforcement about an impending terror attack against Jewish Australians. We believe the person pulling the strings wanted changes to their criminal status, but maintained a distance from their scheme and hired alleged local criminals to carry out parts of their plan. However, the plan was foiled. An AFP operational strategy is in place to take action against this individual, and I won't make any further comment on that today.
Now, what's interesting is they've found out that it was an alleged person who's outside of Australia right now, behind the scenes, that's been pulling the strings on these different massive attacks within the Ish communities here within Australia, right? Now, they claim to have already caught between several people that have been involved within the cases, all right, surrounding the situation. But nevertheless, what I find intriguing is the fact that they've went, the Albanese government, that is, prior to the last major attack in Sydney, which was I think it was either the child care center at the time that was attacked and it had Nazi writing on it, something to that effect. Basically, the Albanese government here in Australia set up an aid to fund the Ish museums as a way to, show their, I don't know, you could say gratitude or feeling sorry for the Ish community and whatnot. And then prior to that, they ended up sending down the Israeli ambassador. And so since this has recently come out, the Albanese government, they haven't said one word, but they was happy to take the Australians' tax-paying dollars to fund by renovating the Ish museums all across Australia. You see what I mean? So what is the real agenda here? If you can read between the lines, right? And Albanese, I have yet to see, which I'm waiting for him to come out with a statement on these things, because he was so caught up trying to make an impact and please the Ish communities here within Australia. But yet you've heard it from the deputy's mouth that, this was all orchestrated. Now, let's get some more clarification dealing with this, breaking news. Now, this is CBS News, all right, and this was posted March 10th, 2025. All right, it says Australia police say seemingly the anti-S T-word incidents were really criminal con job to sow chaos. You see what I mean? To sow chaos, all right? And the apostles of Great Millstone have always taught us that Esaww'S motto, all right, is order out of chaos, man. All right? They sow the chaos to look for a reaction, and then they bring the solution to that reaction, man. All right, and I've always stated that here in Australia, Australia is the what you would call the blueprint to what the elites really want. And so what they do is, this is like the ground testing field, all right, for what happens on a global stage almost. Because even when you go back to, not to digress, but really quickly, when you go back to the start of 2020, we were one of the main countries in the world at that time that was known to have the strictest lockdowns. I'm talking, they did it in stages. It went from stage 1 to stage 4, stage 4 being the most highest lockdown, to where you couldn't even leave the house without a permit. So unless if you had a job, your employer had to supply you with a permit 5 days a week. Every week you'll have to have it signed by the employer. And if you were caught out the house without that permit to leave from point A, which is your home, to point B, to your job, you would get a fine, right? And then if you continue to break that, you would have to serve time in jail. That's how serious it was back then. And nevertheless, they only allowed for us, I think, either from 2 to 4 hours a day to leave the house to walk, and you can only stay within a 5-kilometer radius at that time. So it was very strict, man. All right. You couldn't even, once again, you couldn't leave the house without a permit. And if you were to leave the house outside of working or grocery shopping or exercising, you had to stay within a 5-kilometer radius within your house. All right. So you couldn't even travel. Let's say if you had if you and your woman were separated and she lived on the other side of town, you couldn't even go and visit her. Okay. Because you would trip that 5-kilometer radius. But nevertheless, that's just to give you an indication on Australia being a testing ground. And so what they tried to do pertaining to this anti-S situation was they tried to pretty much set up to give Amalek full control and sympathy for what was going on between Israel and the Hamas war going back to October the 7th. You see? But so now with the Australian Federal Police investigating these alleged anti-S attacks that has been going on since the year 2023 up until now, they have been found out that it's all been orchestrated, man. All right. And this is beautiful because we're in a time where, hey, the scripture says Esau is being made bare. OK, he can no longer hide, man. The Lord is not on his side. To see the left hand, the enchantments, OK, that is being put out via propaganda through the news media, because, see, Amalek controls the media, you see. But you notice that the left hand is no longer working for these devils anymore. All right. And that's how you know that the spirit of Yahweh Bashemel Shah is working, man. OK, the Esau's right hand, which is known as a falsehood, is no longer working. OK, he's losing grip and he's losing control of the narrative. Now, let's read this article really quickly and then we'll get some precepts and close out. It says, in an explosives-filled trailer that Australian politicians earlier described as an anti-ST word plot in a foiled mass casualty event was staged by criminals in a complicated hoax and was never meant to be detonated, police said Monday. Law enforcement agencies investigating January's discovery of the trailer on the outskirts of Sydney divulged in a news conference that its placement was concocted by criminals who meant to derive personal gain from tipping off authorities to its presence, a bizarre twist in a saga that followed a months-long wave of anti-S crimes in Australia. It says the cluster of attacks targeting places where Ish people live, work, and study, including a firebombing of a synagogue and a daycare center and several instances of anti-S vandalism, were committed by a very small group and potentially one individual behind all those matters, Deputy Police Commissioner for the state of New South Wales, David Hudson, told reporters on Monday. Authorities in January made the unusual claim that none of the 12 they had then arrested in relation to the spate of crimes in Australia's largest cities, Sydney and Melbourne, were driven by anti-S ideology and were instead criminals for hire. All right, so in other words, because when you go further into this, those criminals for hires, they were considered to be paid actors. All right, just so you know. It says Hudson said 14 more arrested Monday were not motivated by hate either. But he added he has no doubt that anti-S in Australia, which has dominated news media in the political sphere following the recent spate of crimes, has experienced an escalation over the past 18 months since the October 7, 2023. And yeah, because when all of that happened, I don't know if brothers, over in the States were seeing the news that was going on over here in this country. But since then, they was pushing that propaganda heavily over here in this country, man. All right. They was doing the Palestine, free Palestine marches here. That was heavily put upon the Australian community, man. All right. And they took it to a whole nother level. And now recently I saw a TikTok where in the UK, you can't even protest for Palestine or anything, or else, like, if you try to rent a spot in a hotel or whatever. They said that I saw a video where a girl was told by the local authorities in the UK that she couldn't protest for Palestine or anything, but if she protests for Israel, then she can stay. All right. And that was crazy. And if I can, I'll post that in a post production after the end of this video, just to prove that. All right. And that's what's going on. So, Amalek is looking for sympathy, but you're not going to get sympathy. All right, because we understand the scriptures tells us that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation, man. All right. And that is another token of proof how we know that the Amalekites, which is the chief tribe of Edom, is still here on the planet Earth today. But let's continue forward. It says Hamas-led terrorist attack on Israel that triggered the war in Gaza. Preliminary data released by the Executive Council of Australian jury just a few months after that attack showed a total of 662 anti-S incidents across Australia were reported during October and November 2023. And by comparison, there were 495 anti-ish incident reported in Australia for the entire 12 months to September 30th, 2023, the council said at the time. In response to the rise in such incidents, Australia enacted new laws in January 2024 explicitly banning the performance of the Nazi salute in public and the display or sale of Nazi hate symbols such as the swastika. And the new laws also made the act of glorifying or praising acts of terrorism, Salakia, the T word, a criminal offense, essentially a criminal con job. But a number of incidents now appear to have been part of the elaborate criminal hoax and not, in fact, rooted in anti-S. The revelation leaked to the public before law enforcement planned to announce it that a trailer was found in January outside Sydney packed with explosives used in the mining industry and containing a list of purported ish targets, prompted state and national leaders to say it represented an escalation in potential extremist violence. But investigators said Monday that they almost immediately believed the trailer's appearance was part of a fabricated T plot, essentially a criminal con job, but kept their suspicions a secret, according to Australian Federal Police Deputy Commissioner Chrissy Barrett. The trailer was easily found and the explosives were visibly displayed. And also there was no detonator, but Barrett said, adding that it was never going to cause a mass casualty event. And instead, those who staged the caravan planned to then inform the authorities of an impending attack against Ish Australians, said Barrett, why investigators believed they had done so was not simple. It says the motivation overseas interest in a culprit still at large. Barrett and Hudson, speaking on behalf of a joint law enforcement effort assembled to arrest the perpetrators of anti-S crimes, said they believe those who faked the trailer plot meant to attract attention from authorities, divert police resources, create fear, and leverage the situation for personal gain. That might have included attempts to use information about an attack to bargain with police for lesser sentences and other criminal proceedings. We believe the person pulling the strings wanted changes to their criminal status, but maintained a distance from their scheme and hired alleged local criminals. Barrett said that person remains at large, she added. And authorities have said since January that they believe overseas interests are orchestrating the crimes, although they haven't been more specific. They also haven't divulged which local criminal groups might have been hired to undertake the attacks, which have included hateful graffiti. It says it wasn't the only time this happened. Barrett added, too many offenders working in a criminal gig economy are accepting these tasks for money, she said. The 14 people arrested Monday face charges in relation to the more than a dozen attacks investigators believe were orchestrated. The strange twist caps a summer where anti-S crimes roiled Sydney and Melbourne home to 85% of Australians' ish population. And one person has been physically hurt, a worshiper who suffered burns in the fire that was set at a Melbourne synagogue in December. And there was some comfort to be taken from the Ish community in the fact that the worst episodes were not ideological acts of hate, Hudson said, but the crimes have had a chilling effect on the Ish community and provoked unwarranted suspicion of other groups, Barrett added. So, continuing on, before I make my point, it says, the high-profile attacks are not the only ones police are investigating. Nearly 200 more people have been charged since October 2023 in the state of New South Wales, where Sydney is located, with crimes linked to anti-S, police told the Associated Press in February. So one will have to wonder, all right, If this is happening here in this country in Australia where these attacks are being orchestrated and set up, then you have to worry about what's also taking place in the US, because I can assure you they're not just doing it here, man. All right. And you have the likes of people like George Soros, who was the one that funded Black Lives Matter. All right. He also funded the Salakia, the Free Palestine movement, but also he helped to fund, when you do your research, the anti-S movement. All right. And so don't be surprised. They have people that's called crisis actors, man. All right. That go behind the scenes and then they orchestrate these things so that they can spread a false narrative. All right. Because that really this is what's happening, man. All right. But see, the thing is that false narrative, it didn't work. Now they claim to be that this has been orchestrated by a particular person and the criminal gig of the economy that has been working behind the scenes. So one will have to ask, if that be the case, all right, where does it lead to? Where does it go back to? And who funded that person to be able to set this thing up? You know? So let's get a few precepts and close out. All right. I want to start here in Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 12, because I mentioned that the propaganda that has been widely spread across the Australian media and trying to have sympathy for the Ish people, all right, it's no longer working. All right. And I've been here for just made 20 years now, being in this country. And I told the brother Yashar that out of my whole time of being here, this country in particular is not one that will do such, heinous acts towards another ethnicity or group of people, man. It's unheard of. It's unprecedented. So for this to come out of the woodworks within the last 18 months of having different anti-S attacks is kind of weird, man. And if your spiritual eyes not open enough to see that this ain't, the doings of Esau Edom, then I don't know what it is, man. All right. And so this is Isaiah 47 and 12. It says, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou should be able to profit. If so be thou mayest prevail, because that's all Esau has been doing, using his witchcraft, enchantments, sorceries to manipulate the public, to get the public to adhere on his side, man, to control the narrative. All right. It says, thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Because at the end of the day, all right, they're trying to conjure up things on the left-hand side, which is no longer working for them. All right. They want people to feel sorry for them. All right. At the same time, while they're still trying to set up their new world order, their enterprise, which is going to be led by the MOTB, which is the RFID micro CHIP, man. All right. But that's not going to stop the destruction that's coming to you devils, man. You see? And so I will have to wonder that now that this has been blown up here in this country, that it was all fabricated, it was all a lie, how much more, which we know, all right, being the true prophets, the true men of Yahweh Shem Shai, we know what's really going on. But now that this has blown up, I wonder would this make international news now of what's been going on in this country. All right. So this is just something to think about. All right. This is 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, right? We're not ignorant of his schemes, him plotting, his evil thoughts, or what he's trying to accomplish, what he's trying to establish, trying to control the narrative once again, to put it into people's minds that this one ethnicity group of people, all right, I'm gonna just say, call them the Amalekites, that they need sympathy, that they're in trouble, that, they got it tough in this world when they own damn near everything from the corporations, the media, the media, Hollywood. All right. But yet the Australian government, and just to show you what I mean. All right. Let's go here. Just open up a new tab. Let's see here. Albanese government. I think I spelled it wrong. Yeah. So give you an example. The Albanese government delivers 8.5 million for Sydney-ish museum. You see that? And this is, let me see here. Yeah, let's go to the nightly just to show you what I'm talking about, right? We doing this on the fly. This is It says Albanese calls for unity to co-sign the evil of anti-S to history as Ish community lives in fear. And now what he did, now this was back last year in December. And you can look this up because basically they said even this attack, this was orchestrated. This was all planned, right? It says a visibly emotional Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, which I believe he's a pan to the S to the E to the X to the U to the A to the L. It says on Wednesday pledged 8.5 million to upgrade the Sydney-ish museum and called for unity to co-sign the evil anti-S to the history. You see how they just openly and willingly gave money, all right, to Amalek. It says, speaking inside the institution that teaches visitors about the Holocaust, Mr. Albanese unequivocally condemned another shameful attack which saw a car torch and anti-S graffiti sprayed in a prominent-ish suburb of Sydney in the early hours of the morning. And what caused him to give out such an amount was because they ended up sending down the Israeli minister, and they was pressuring the Albanese government on what they was going to do over this matter. So he thought, oh, we'll pledge 8.5 million to upgrade the Ish Museum, and to basically that museum is to give what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? To educate, just like what they did with Nick Cannon. All right. When he had his podcast and he was, I forget who he was talking to at the time, but he was saying how we were like Israelites and stuff like that. And then what happened with him? They pretty much took him off air and they put a rabbi in front of him. And he came back the next episode when they allowed for him to go back on air. And what was the first thing that came out of his mouth? He not only apologized, but he said he had to be retrained in so many words. They took him to a Ish museum. You see what I mean? So it's like, come on, man. But anyway, back here, 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, man. All right? Because Esau, we know what time it is, my man. All right? This is Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled in his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. All right. So there's no way that you devils can get out of what you're doing. All right. The scriptures calls you the fugitive and the vagabond on the planet Earth, man. You're everything else under the sun other than being who you truly are. And that's Esau, Edom. OK. You want sympathy. All right. And that's why the scriptures tell you that, let's get that in Hebrews, that there's no, what's that? Hebrews 12:16, really 17. But I'll start at verse 16. It says, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears, man. And so all Esau wants, he just wants the birthright back. And he wants that recognition. That's why he's going so hard out with the anti-S word, man. You see what I'm saying? But they're using that as a front to, take control not only of the Holy Land, but once again, like I said, they want that birthright back. Right. So let's get Luke 8:17. It says, "For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad." Because see, this is how you know that we're at the time of the end, man. Everything is being exposed. Okay? Everything is being exposed. All right? And no matter what these devils do, that's how you can tell that the Lord is having war with Amalek, as mentioned in Exodus the 17th chapter, because everything that these devils do, all right, Yahweh Shemel Shah is 10 steps ahead, man. And it's like we've gotten to the point now where if Esau has plotted some wicked shit or whatever, not even whether it's the very next day, 2 days later, or a week later, Yahweh Shemel Shah brings it to the light. You see, that's why they want to take the internet down, man. All right, and we know that a famine of the word is coming, pursuant to Amos 8:11, right? So we got that. But this is Job chapter 13 and verse 4 says, "But ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value." All right, right. Esau is a goddamn liar, man. Okay. Setting up shop, paying crisis actors and stuff to sow chaos. All right. And then what they'll do, you have something that's called, there was a movie done by Denzel Washington. I believe the title of the movie was Maturing Candidate, right? And that's when Esau, they'll take people and they'll lace them with LSD, which is a type of drug, and they'll set them up to take the fall. They also showed you that in the movie Jason Bourne, right? And then they'll have you to go in to complete the mission. And then once you complete the mission, they no longer have use for you. So you end up becoming the fall guy, right? And that's how they get away with a lot of their things worldwide, man. Okay, they also have mercenaries. Elder Apostle Tahar speaks on that all the time. All right, which that goes back to Tubal Cain, because the word Cain means weapon. All right, and then when you go into Tubal Cain, traveling weapon, I believe, which that's where you get the word mercenary, or not the word, but that's what the word mercenary goes back to or alludes to. You see? So, yeah, man, there's a lot going on, but through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, hey, it's all working, man. All right. And these devils to no avail. They can't they can't offset prophecy. All right, they're losing control of the narrative, and it's all beautiful to see. Right. This is Psalms 58:3. It says, "The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies," man. All right. Because that's what they do. They're set up to be the wicked, man. They don't know righteousness, man. It's not embedded within them. You see? So last precept, Sirach 12:10, it says, "Never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness," man. And with what's transpired, let's get out of that. Let's come back over here. With what has transpired over the last few months with this whole propaganda surrounding the anti-S incident attacks here in this country, as I said, it's now been blown up that it's all been a lie, man. You see what I'm saying? But I look forward to see the statement that the Albanese government will come out with now, which I don't think they're not gonna unpledge that 8.5 million that they've put into the Ish Museum, but we'll see. So that's pretty much it. I pray that this lesson was edifying. And I just wanted to update you, Akim, of what's been going on here in the land down under. So with that, giving all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakaha Kodash, and double honors to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David. It's on to the next Lord's will. Shalom.